كفري لا تجزعي.
You know the first battle of Badr, the 313. Yeah. And this was the ma'riqah, the decider between haqq and batil, truth and falsehood. Those that participate in this battle when it comes to Islam and ranks from amongst the Sahaba, they the Ali, the Badriyin. Allah said with regards to them in the Quran, they can do what they like, Allah's forgiven them. What did we have as an ummah in terms of resources when them 313 went out with the Prophet ﷺ to fight 1,000 strong who had the resources? Forget anything other than just look at the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. What was the dua the Prophet ﷺ was making on that day? Listen to his dua. Allahumma innahum jiya'un fashbi'hum. Allahumma innahum hufatun fahmilhum. Innahum uratun faksuhum. This was the dua my Nabi was making. Prophet ﷺ was crying to his Lord, and he was saying, "Innahum jiya'un fashbi'hum." Oh my master, these companions of mine are hungry. Feed them. Tell me, my young friend, how can you fight an enemy with your stomach empty? How can you fight? You fasted in the month of Ramadan. What becomes of you and I? When we know in the evening we're going to receive a meal, but during the day we've been fasting. We fast. We become frustrated. We lose our cool, anger. We find it difficult. You know the swords that they used to carry, today with full stomachs, two of us wouldn't be able to carry the sword of Umar. And they would have to fight in that state where the Prophet ﷺ is saying, okay, they're hungry. Look in Khandaq. Not only were they hungry, hunger was at such a level that the Sahaba had thin stones tied to their stomachs to ease the pain of hunger, and they were surrounded by 12,000 men. All the Arab tribes of Arabia had united to annihilate the believers from the face of the earth, and that time was so tense, so cold, so difficult, so hungry, that Allah describes that situation to وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبَ الْحَنَاجِرِ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظَّنُونَ هُنَالِكَ ابْتُلِيَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَزُلْزِلُوا زِلْزَالًا شَدِيدًا, that the believers were shaken, the mighty shaken. The Prophet ﷺ had 2 stones tied to his stomach. But okay, my young friends, you know when the Sahaba would stand in salah, I'm talking about the hunger so you get an idea. When they would stand in salah, how many of them would collapse in salah because their legs would not be able to carry them because of starvation. Look at Abu Huraira. Abu Huraira says, I would faint between the minbar of the Prophet ﷺ and Hazrat Aisha's room. So he would faint in Riyadul Jannah. I would faint between the minbar of the Prophet and Hazrat Aisha's room. I would collapse, passers-by would pass by, and they would place their feet on my neck thinking Abu Huraira has become insane. And then Abu Huraira says, it wasn't that the Abu Huraira had become insane or become a madman, it was hunger. Days would go by in which I wouldn't receive a morsel to eat, as a result of which my legs would not be able to carry me and I would fall unconscious. When they went to fight the Romans, and this was one of the powers that was ruling the world, how did they go? 600 kilometers is Tabuk, and between 10 of them, there's one savari, one camel. So if he's walking 9 miles and he's riding 1 mile, if that's how they sorted their turns out. 50 degrees centigrade. And what they're sustaining themselves on? A handful of dates. And when they run out, what were they sustaining themselves on? The stones of the date. Just like bubblegum, kids just chew it all day because, so they were chewing just the date seed, sucking that the whole day. And they're going to fight the Romans that ruled half of the world. Look at it like this, some people from the Amazon basin today, in that state where they hardly got any clothes to cover, and they're now going to fight America. There's no comparison. Prophet ﷺ, the dua he was making, إِنَّهُمْ جِيَاءٌ فَاشْبِعْهُمْ. He was making dua, إِنَّهُمْ أُرَاتٌ فَقْسُمْ. Oh Allah, they sent me naked, clothe them. Forget, armor for protection. Some of them got one sheet of cloth. Balki in namaz, the Prophet ﷺ had instructed the women. They used to read namaz, the men read mix up, then the children mix up, and the women mix up after. So the Prophet ﷺ in namaz had instructed the sahabiyat, okay, you know, when you go into sajda, don't raise your head straight away. Just wait for a second, let the men raise their heads first. Why did the Prophet ﷺ tell the sahabiyat to do this? Because some of the Sahaba had only one sheet to cover their body. So there was fear that if they raise their heads sooner, straight away, their eyes may fall upon the satar of some Sahabi in front of them. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ told them, okay, just wait a second, let the men raise their heads first, and then you raise your heads. This was the state of the companions of Rasulullah. Barefooted, and they're going to fight, and they're carrying sticks. Half of them even got swords. They're carrying spades. This was the situation of 313. You tell me, my young friend, you tell me what happened. Which was the army that was victorious? The army of Allah. This just was the start. They came in Badr, they came in Uhud, 3,000. Muslims were 1,000 at the beginning. The hypocrites, they ran off, left with 700. For every one, there's around 5 non-believers. They were defeated. In Khandaq, they all came. They were defeated. Every battle thereafter, the army of Allah that would prostrate by night, fast by day, and elevate the kalima of Allah by day. Nothing stood in front of them. In battles, there were 5,000, 10,000. The Persians came in 100,000, 200,000. When they would see them, and there were times where you'll find in a hadith they would walk over water as one walks over soft sand. And when the Persian would see them, they would say, Diwan Ahmad, Diwan Ahmad. These are not human beings, these are jinnat. And they would run from the battlefield. Rome and Persia melted before them like snow melts under the hot sun. Nothing can stand before Allah's name. Nothing can stand before Allah. The army of Allah cannot be defeated.